Hi, all you sake lovers out there. This year I've made a number of trips to Iwate and I've collected a number of bottles of sake from there, of course. And in the process, I've also collected some unusual bottles that you might not have a chance to run across in the States or overseas. So today I'm here again with Selena,
Hey everyone!
and I'm going to see if I can switch her on to some unusual sake from Iwate.
Woohoo!
So Selena, you've been to Iwate as well. What did you think of like Morioka when you were there?
So yeah, I've been there twice, and you know me, I don't have an amazing memory for where I've been. And unfortunately, both of them were for work trips,
Yeah.
so it was a really short time. But thanks to you, I got this recommendation of, or you recommended, the market in
Hmm.
Morioka.
Yeah, the Saturday night market in Morioka. I think it's maybe from May to October or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, outdoor on one of the shopping streets there. It's a really cool thing to check out if you ever go there.
Yeah, I think usually it's really extensive. The day that I went, it had been raining all day, so it had been reduced to just a few stands,
Oh, that's too
but it
bad.
was still so interesting, so cool. There was a tofu place, like a tofu stand, and this stand with all these smoked goods and nihonshu and a bunch of different things. So that was really lovely. And I remember that when I went last year, in general, Morioka was just a lovely place to visit, but I know that there's so much more in Iwate that I
Oh
haven't gotten to
yeah, yeah.
explore.
I mean, Iwate is like I don't know what the size of it is. It's
It's
big.
big.
It's big for Japan.
Yeah.
Like you're driving around like on the highway and it's like 2 hours to anywhere between like anywhere that you
Yeah.
want to go, which is quite a distance in Japan,
Yeah,
for
definitely. You're usually in a different prefecture or
yeah,
something by
right,
then.
right.
For these nihonshu, did you find them more in like the countryside, like the remote areas? Or were these also in cities? Like where did you find these?
Some of them. Wait, I'm trying to remember. Oh, this one is actually from Morioka. Well, I'll be talking
Oh,
about that one in a
nice.
little bit. The others are all from, well, two of them are from a little place called Shiwa, which
Shiwa.
is south of Morioka,
Okay.
and another one is from Kitakami, um,
Oh, I've heard of
which
Kitakami.
is kind of even further south. But that
Okay.
whole area is a really important area in the history of sake because it's the home of the Nambu Toji uh, organization, the Nambu Brewers organization.
Oh.
So they were a really important group of brewers from the Edo period and into now. They're actually the biggest group of uh, organized brewers in Japan now.
Whoa, you should
Yeah.
do a whole separate video on that because I want to learn more.
Well, I
And I feel like now's not the time to talk about that, but I'm really curious about how that, like, organizations are, like, we don't make unions a lot in Japan, so I'm really curious why that started and how that
Well, that's a
progressed.
whole project that I'll be talking about at a later date. There's actually
Sure.
something going on with that, but I can't say too much about it now.
Ooh, zesty.
Anyway, but in the course of going there, of course, I picked up like the regular like things that you might get from a brewery, but these are
Hmm.
all kind of unusual for different reasons.
Okay.
And I'll explain as we go along.
Yeah, I'm really curious
So,
what to you is like the usual things you get versus the unusual.
So we're going to take a look at each of these in turn and see what you think about them,
Yeah.
and try it with some of the food that Selena has prepared for us today.
Yeah.
And then you get to choose the one that you like best at the end.
I'm so excited. Yeah, I love trying things that are outside of the box. I always just want the most interesting flavors possible.
These definitely are interesting for various reasons. So let's get started.
Okay.
Okay, so our first sake today is called Ara-ebisu, and it's from Shiwa-shuzo in Shiwa.
Okay.
Recently, they changed their name from Hirota-shuzo to Shiwa-shuzo. It was
Oh,
like a couple year or two ago that they did this. I don't actually know the story why, but there's a couple interesting things about this sake. One is the name Ara-ebisu. We're not sure what it actually means, and there wasn't a lot of explanation on the website, but one character means kind of like wild or rough, and the last character here is a character that was used for the Emishi people, who were the original inhabitants of the Tohoku area.
Oh.
And so it might have something to do with that, like the wild,
Like more like of the
wild people
land.
of Tohoku kind of thing.
That's fun.
And it's made with a kind of table rice called, I just want to make sure I have the right name, hitome bore, which is a pretty famous table rice, especially from Miyagi and Iwate area. So it's not made with a sake rice.
Interesting.
And the person who makes it the brewer is a woman.
Which is rare in Japan.
Yeah, still relatively rare, although there are many, many more of them. In the video that I did a couple months ago with the one from Otsuka-shuzo.
Yeah, that's so cool.
But this is also a nama, and it's an origarami, so it's got a little bit of the lees kind of left.
Is that what that means? Yeah. Okay.
So.
Sorry, thank you. It's a really clear smell. It's like a little bit on the thick side, but it's not anything, to me it doesn't smell too complex. I'm not getting like nothing hits me in the face at first. I still remember that cucumber melon one from the last video. Watch that video. It was so crazy.
Yeah, I'm getting there's a little bit of,
I always smell cantaloupe.
yeah, I can kind of smell that. A little bit of cantaloupe, a little bit of banana, a little bit.
Oh, I can smell the banana for sure.
And I'm getting kind of like I think because it's a table rice, it has a little bit of there's like an oiliness, like kind of like almost like a vegetable oil.
I see what you mean. I was kind of getting a soapy vibe.
A little bit.
Sometimes I feel really bad when I describe foods. I'm like, it kind of tastes like
no, because
dirt and smoke.
I mean, they say the same things for wine. Like they say, like it smells like dirt or
mold,
or
but it kind of has that
leaf litter or something like that.
Yeah. You're like, sorry.
Anyway, let's try a taste.
Yeah. Oh.
Wow.
That's so
right?
different.
Yeah.
That is so smooth. It's like very easy to drink, glides over your tongue. It's so well rounded. I'm scared that it's not going to go with, sometimes when Nihonshu are so kind of perfectly easy to drink on their own, anything else like food almost interrupts it sometimes.
This is a little bit of it's very flavorful. It's smooth in the beginning, which a lot of Iwate sake tends to have a very kind of soft attack on the tongue.
Why?
That's just the kind of style that they kind of make.
Interesting.
But I feel this has, for me, and I taste this I think more than a lot of people taste, but in the end I get a lot of like stimulating flavors, like the alcohol and like the spiciness is like coming out.
Does it hit you in the back of your mouth? Because I kind of have like the middle of my tongue and the back of my mouth. Like it kind of glides nicely over the tip of my tongue, kind of fills the middle of my tongue with flavor, skips that like 3/4 of the way back section, and then kind of hits you in the back with like a little bit of stronger alcohol.
And it's about 16% alcohol. And so that's usually when there's a spiciness or kind of stimulating flavor, it's usually because of that. All right, so our second sake has an interesting label here.
It's funky.
It's from Kikuzakari Brewery.
Okay.
And this is originally they were in Hanamaki, but when the 2011 earthquake hit, it almost like destroyed half of the brewery basically.
No.
And so they aren't able to brew there anymore, and so they're just brewing about 5 minutes away in Kitakami.
Okay.
And so one day they hope to be able to move back to their original brewery. They're using a brewery that was like unused, that had been left
kind of like an
vacant.
abandoned
Yeah,
brewery.
or just wasn't being like they didn't have somebody continue it, and so they said, okay, you can use our brewery because yours is
Cool.
broken, basically. Um, and the current Kuramoto, the person that runs the brewery, is called the Kuramoto.
Kurumoto.
He's really into Japanese subculture, and
Cool.
so the label here is made by kind of an underground manga artist, and I'll put his name in the description for people who are interested in it, because a lot of people are interested in manga and like underground Japanese things and
Yeah, it's
stuff like
really
that.
cool to find or
Also,
hire
the
people.
name in Japanese is Denki Bosatsu, and in
That's so
English
funny.
it's Electric Bodhisattva.
That's so cool. That's so groovy. Like, I love that.
And this actually was brewed in, so it's Dewa 2, so
Oh,
that would be the year 2020.
yeah.
Uh, and it was stored in the brewery until this year and
Mm,
released this year. So it's been aged for 3 years.
okay.
And it's actually a daiginjo, so the
Oh.
rice has been milled to 45%,
Mm-hmm.
and it uses a type of rice from Iwate, special sake rice from Iwate called gin otome. And yeah, it's a little bit not what I was expecting from daiginjo.
Yeah, it has like a normal Nihonshu smell on top, but there's like a funky aroma happening underneath that.
Yeah.
And I'm so curious how that's going to play out in the actual drinking.
What I'm getting is a little bit, I think the top notes that I'm getting are a little bit of citrus.
Ah, it smells really sharp to me, almost like a pakchi, like a cilantro kind of thing.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I can kind of see that, like a little bit of herbaceousness to it.
Yeah, it smells very herbal to me. It's like top herbal notes with this. I don't know what's happening underneath, but I'm
So
so
the
curious.
funky that I'm getting is a little bit of soy sauce,
Oh, yeah.
maybe
Or like
dashi.
like the bottom of the soy sauce, like like
I've never smelled the bottom of the soy sauce.
okay, you're like
Specifically.
really specific. Or like if you have like a big barrel of miso, like the kind of remnants at the bottom of that, it kind of has that like almost over fermented smell.
Mm.
It almost reminds me of mead upon first sip, but TBD.
I get that because it's a little bit sweet.
It's very sweet, but and I said this in the last video, I don't like cloyingly sweet sake. This is like round sweet. I feel like I'm eating a berry in Nihonshu form. It is so yummy and fun. It feels like not a sour beer, but like a berry beer where they have this kind of like roundness to them.
Oh, I wasn't really getting that. I was getting more like of a kind of sweet, like a whiskey on the sweet side is
Oh,
kind of what I was getting.
I don't know, it's hitting the roof of my
But
palate really
now that you
strongly.
said like a not really a sour, but like a lambic beer or
Yeah.
something like that.
This is just so I can't I feel like I'm eating a berry. It's so round and sweet but full. You know how you can't really mimic berry
But
flavors?
very crisp at the end.
Yeah.
Like there's some remaining flavor.
Oh,
The,
sure,
f-
totally.
the first one we didn't I felt like was very crisp and it just kind of like
Shaboom.
yeah. This remains in your mouth, but it still has a crisp finish and then just kind of like this lingering kind of notes underneath it. Honestly, I opened this yesterday and I thought it was a little rough, and
Oh,
I feel like it is much better the second day.
really?
Yeah, it's a little bit sweeter and a little bit more kind of blended together, I feel.
That always fascinates me that you keep it in the refrigerator. All you do is open it and pour a little bit out, but it totally can change. I know from the last video, the stuff that I took home changed
Yeah.
just
And
by a day or two.
not always in a bad way. I've had some sake recently that when I first opened it, I was like, "Oh, this is too sharp." It smelled like a marker to me, like a whiteboard marker or
Yeah,
something like
I
that.
know that smell.
And I decanted it and just kind of left it like a wine, and
Yeah.
it was delicious after an
Wow.
hour.